Hello, uh, welcome back to my channel. So here's the thing. I've done a lot of different things on this channel. It is very much a variety channel. I have to put it at that point now. But it's always pretty much about books of some form. And I'll leave it at that, is that books, either like literary novels that are like read, or in this case, what I'm going to be talking about today is comics. So, funny story, I have a whole bunch, as you can see there, whole bunch of, it's a whole entire shelf just full of comics. Now, the thing is that I've been collecting comics since I was very young. But these comics are all since I was in my late 20s. Or these are comics I've gotten since then. And I need to go through them, ironically, because I need to make some space. I need to make space for writing supplies and art supplies and things like that. And on top of it all, I've come to the conclusion that there's some books that I have here that I don't read anymore, and they're hard to access, so I want to change over to a bunch of like smaller boxes, mostly just like black plastic boxes because they're a little more sturdy. So that's gonna be like a long-term thing. I thought I was gonna be able to just go in here and do a quick like cleanse. However, I'm seeing right now that it's not as simple as that. I'm gonna actually have to, some of these things I can, some of these things I can just go through and go, yes, I'm gonna get rid of these books. Now, it's not really a reflection on the story itself. Oftentimes it's just on whether or not it's something that I feel that I really like or whatnot. So with saying that, hold on, and I like turn a little bit, there we go. So with saying that, I come to the realization that I'm gonna have to just slowly go through some of them I can, but it's opinion. Like, everyone has their own favorite comic books that they really like, and you know, it's just certain genres speak to certain people. And I used to love superhero comics, and I still do to some extent. So there's some that I'm going to be keeping because they're my heart. But then there's other ones that I'm ready to move on from. So I thought that as I get to the more difficult ones where I actually am going to have to read them, I thought it'd be kind of neat to like read them and then kind of get my reflection on them. I know a lot of people do that, but I don't know, this is just for me and for the people who want to watch. It's not writing related, but it's more comic related, which is the other part of what I do, is create comics. And I think this will also, by reading the comics, it's going to help fuel my love for working on comics, which I also need to do. So if you're interested, yay! If you're not, don't worry, I will eventually get some more writing stuff up, but I'll make a warning about it. Like the comic one, when I do a comic centric one, I'll make it very obvious that it's going to be comic centric, and I'll probably put it up on a different playlist. So thanks for joining in, and I will talk to you again really soon when I start doing the culling. Okay, so the first thing I have to do that I'm doing is going through all of the boxes, and I have to figure out a sorting system. Now, I already went online and I bought myself some comic boxes. So those are going to be coming in because one of the things I do know that I need to do is I want to have them in short. I have a whole bunch of long boxes because that's how I started, was the really, really, really long comic book boxes, but they're kind of unwieldy, and I like the idea of having them in smaller boxes so that I can have story arcs together And as I'm thinking about that, as I'm saying this out loud, that's also how I'm probably going to sort my comics, is not by the comic series, but by the comic story arc, which makes sense, especially when you have crossover issues and things like that. There's some comics that don't have that, and then they can kind of go in their own separate thing. But there are some that are crossed over, and they'll have like an epic saga. Like, for example, Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars as well. Um, Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's another one. As you can tell, I read both Marvel and DC. Um, if I had to prefer, I probably started off with Marvel, so that's how it went. But I have there's more than just the capes and cowls. There's a bunch of independent ones, and those are the ones that are going to be more challenging to go through, because they aren't just simply, oh well, this is this run, so yes, or I didn't really like this run, so no. They have to be looked at more critically, because they aren't necessarily, some of them were one shots, some of them were, they just have like, they struck a feeling with me, which makes it much more difficult to try and simply toss out, because it's just like, oh well, I really really like that one, or I don't know, I kind of might want to read this, or it had critical acclaim. And that's actually where I have to start with getting rid of the ones that just were critically acclaimed that I'm not actually going to read. Just because it's critically acclaimed doesn't mean I'm going to read it. Tolstoy, for example, not a comic, but War and Peace. That's a well-known and great novel. I'm not going to read it. So I will not have it on my shelves, probably. But that's just an example and where I have to start. But I think my main thought is trying to organize and sort through, get everything all into like alphabetical order, and then I can kind of go from there. Like I said, there's probably gonna be reading involved with this, and some will be hot takes and some will be more analytical, where I'll just delve in and see, do some research on what was going on while the story was being created, because that seems to be a reflection. Like, comics have a tendency to be a reflection of what was going on in the world at the time. So they're kind of nice that way. They're a nice little, window into how people were thinking and feeling. A really good reflection of the general people. Any rate, so that is that for now. I will let you know as I have more updates, because this is not going to be finished anytime soon. Alrighty.